Hello, I'm Dr. Karen Alexander from Texas Tech University, and thank you for joining me today as we talk about using personal graduation plans, PGPs, to prepare college and career-ready graduates. In 2013, the Texas legislature revised the high school graduation plan, also known as House Bill 5. And as a result of House Bill 5, the Foundation High School Graduation Plan was created. The idea behind the Foundation High School Graduation Program is to promote college and career readiness for all students and to offer flexibility for students as they pursue college and career readiness goals. Let's take a moment and look at some of the components of the Foundation High School program requirements. You'll notice that on the left side of the screen, the requirements for the Foundation High School program require 22 credits, and this is where we begin to see a little bit of flexibility in the graduation plan. If you'll notice at the bottom, career-related electives have been increased, 5 credits. However, the graduation plan is also designed to promote college and career readiness for all students. If you look on the right side, the addition of the endorsement, which is the recommended plan for all students that they seek an endorsement along with the Foundation High School program, is 26 credits. And along with 26 credits, you see an additional 2 hours, 2 electives that focus on career-related courses, but you also see that additional math and science course. And so the idea of preparing students for college has not been sacrificed, even though students have more flexibility to add career-related electives and do early career exploration activities. You also see in the Foundation High School program that students can earn a distinguished level of achievement by focusing in on a specific math requirement, which would be Algebra 2, and by earning 4 credits in science and completing the requirements for their endorsement. The other component that is an enhancement on the Foundation High School program is the performance acknowledgement. These are some components that allow students to prepare for career and college in terms of taking dual credit courses, obtaining bilingualism or biliteracy, also performing well on an AP test or an IB test. So those components are things that we can think of as helping students prepare for college readiness as well as look at opportunities for career readiness. House Bill 5 also promotes more guidance and counseling for students, and it allows for district control and local decision making. But one of the unique aspects of House Bill 5 is the requirement for all students to have an individualized career path through the creation of a personal graduation plan, also known as a PGP. The PGP is going to be the focus of the remaining part of our presentation today, so that you will have an understanding as to how this document can be more than a document for students, but it can also be a process to help students prepare for college and career. So let's think for a moment, what is a quality PGP? The first is that it is an individualized document that consists of course taking as well as post-secondary plans that align to career goals. Think for a moment about your personal graduation plans. Are they simply a 4-year listing of courses that students take in high school, or are they truly asking students to think about their post-secondary plans and how those post-secondary plans might align with their eventual career goals? The second component is the documentation of the range of college and career readiness skills that the student has developed. And if you notice, this is referring to an individual student. Of course, it is a personal graduation plan. It is personalized. But beyond being a personal plan for a student, it should also be a process that helps students and counselors, educators, parents, administrators enhance the relevance of school and extended learning opportunities for our students. It should also provide access to career development opportunities that incorporate self-exploration, career exploration, and career planning and management skill building activities. These last three components are essential to successful implementation of a PGP. Let's look at this a little bit further. So in thinking about the first part, self-exploration. Self-exploration could be a variety of things for students. It could be interest inventories, aptitude inventories, all of those assessments that students begin to take at the middle school level that should be revisited on a regular basis to determine whether or not students' interests and abilities have changed. But it also might include other activities that students participate in, such as service learning experiences or a job shadowing activity. These are the opportunities that begin to allow a student to look at themselves and think about the bigger picture, know what they're good at, what their interests are, and where they possibly see their future heading. And so self-exploration is that first component. And obviously, if a student's going to create a well-developed PGP throughout their high school experiences, there need to be opportunities for students to have self-exploration activities, both guided and independent, starting in middle school or even before. The second component is career exploration. And again, these can be guided through classroom experiences, but they could also be independent types of activities. But this is where a student really begins to look at various career opportunities that are of interest to them and explore through research, but also through maybe interviewing, mentorship types of experiences, and even those extended learning experiences that a student might participate in, such as a student organization or a career and technical student organization activity where they're applying what they're learning in the classroom to a real-world type of setting. It's through these career exploration activities that students begin to essentially narrow the list, drawing upon what they've learned about themselves in the self-exploration. Many of our students have a lot of things that they're really interested in doing, but as they continue to explore their backgrounds, their interest areas, and apply those to career settings, they can begin to see what is a good fit for them. And at the middle school level in particular, we may have a student who has an interest in 10 different things, and it may change fairly regularly because of the developmental process of career development. And so we have to allow our students full opportunities to explore and find out who they are so that as they move into their high school experience, they're better prepared to take advantage of the career-related electives and those college preparation courses that are truly going to prepare them for the next level. And then, of course, that third step is career planning and management. And this is where the relationship with an adult, in particular a school guidance counselor and even a classroom teacher, can be very valuable because it's more than just looking and exploring. It's also putting a plan in place. We may not have students completely know exactly what they want to do when they graduate from high school, but they should at least have a plan in place for the next step. And so having the opportunity to meet regularly with a counselor and to ask questions and guide them through the process is an essential part of the PGP. It's also important that there's a way to manage the PGP locally. And so school districts need to consider some sort of data management system so that students and parents have access to students' PGPs. When we think about a PGP, ideally it should be a lifelong process because as we think about career development, that is also a lifelong process. So having the opportunity to access information even as they move into post-secondary education opportunities can be very, very valuable for our students. So when we put those three components together, what we arrive at is a quality PGP. So again, I'm going to ask you to think about your PGPs on the local level. Are you looking at all three of these components on various levels and revisiting them regularly? And if you are headed in the direction of establishing quality PGPs for your students. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the research that we have on PGPs, and some of what I've already shared with you draws upon that research. The first thing that you need to know is that PGPs in the literature can be found as individual learning plans. That's really a broad term for PGP. PGP is the Texas language that we're using as a result of House Bill 5. But you can also search for individual learning plans and find the same research, and you will find that a number of states are actually moving in this direction or have moved in this direction for some time. At last count, at least 36 states are now using individual learning plans, or PGPs, to direct the career development process and career exploration process used by their students. We have some promising practices that have emerged over the last decade of the implementation of the individual learning plans. The first thing that we know is that they are more effective when they're introduced in middle school, which I mentioned to you a few minutes ago as looking at those three components, and of course regularly reviewed and updated through high school and beyond. So do your students have an opportunity to meet with someone on a regular basis? And regular might mean more than just once a year to update their PGP. But are they able to think about it in the context of what they're learning in the classroom? Often, our classrooms are robust in career development and college readiness activities. There are numerous opportunities for students to review their personal graduation plan and reflect on what they've been learning and apply that to the future plan that they have in place. PGPs, successful PGPs, should also incorporate web-based systems that allow a student to have an integrated e-portfolio. Again, thinking about the ability to access information further down the road, it would be very valuable for a student to compile their learning experiences, their extended learning experiences as they progress through school. And one of the best ways to do that is the e-portfolio. Most web-based systems allow for students to access this information and a portfolio throughout their lifetime. And that's an important question to ask a vendor. Will our students have access to this beyond graduation? For instance, when they are moving into a particular college degree grading program, they may be asked to submit a portfolio of their competencies. And the best way to demonstrate that can be a progression of their growth, as illustrated in that e-portfolio. So having access to it is really critical for their continued success. And then, of course, one of the things that we know about successful learning plans is including family engagement activities. Family engagement in this process is critical. However, this is an area where school districts often struggle because parents sometimes are reluctant to become involved in school-related activities. So the more creative school districts can be, the better it is for the student, as well as it is for the faculty and counselors working with students as they're addressing the components of their PGP. Students are very interested and enthusiastic about what it is that they want to do, and they want that enthusiasm to spread to their family members as well. Especially when we think about first-generation college students, getting family members involved in the development of the PGP can be really critical as the student progresses through post-secondary education. It's really laying a foundation for support as that student moves on to the next level of education. And then, of course, one of the things that is really critical to consider is the quality career development opportunities that are available to students throughout the curriculum. And so thinking about implementation of career development opportunities, it can be overwhelming sometimes to a school counselor, especially if you have a high ratio of students that you're providing services to. So thinking about using the classroom as a wonderful outlet for career development is critical. Your classroom teachers, especially your career and technical education teachers, can be very important, instrumental, let's say, in providing career development activities for your students. We have the ability to reach students every single day through our classrooms, whereas counselors sometimes have a limited amount of time. And so if we think about having a team that includes counselors as well as classroom teachers and even possibly mentors from the community, we can provide a very robust personal graduation planning process for our students. And with the PGP and Foundation High School Graduation Program, students are allowed to personalize their learning. So as they begin to find their interest areas, they can pursue those career development courses, those career-related electives that truly relate to their interests. And in some cases, they may be able to take advantage of coursework that they wouldn't necessarily have time for at the post-secondary level. However, those courses may be very important for them in terms of meeting their career goal. For instance, if a student is going to own their own business, they want to own their own child development center, they're going to be a business individual. So they may want to take an entrepreneurship course or possibly an accounting course. Those are going to be instrumental for them as a business owner. Yet they may not have time for that in their post-secondary training program because they're going to be specializing in human development, child care, child development courses so that they're ensuring that they have the foundation that they need to run a successful business. The last piece of the research shows that PGPs are most successful when students have the support of at least one consistent adult advisor. That could be the school counselor, of course, but again, thinking back to your classroom teachers or possibly a mentor in the community, maybe a mentor that a student has identified through a job shadowing activity. Those are really key for the success of our students and their personal graduation planning process. Okay, so now let's think a little bit more about the personalized nature of the career path. And when we think about this, what we're truly doing is helping each student find their way to college and career. I think it's really important for you to remember that no path will be the same for our students. Sometimes our students will take a very linear approach. They'll move through their high school program, they'll graduate from high school, and they'll move right into a post-secondary program of their choosing. Not all students are going to have that type of linear path. There will be some of them who might feel more comfortable seeking a work opportunity so that they can continue to develop certain skills and even mature. Or possibly they may not have all of the funds that they need to enter right into a post-secondary program. So a student might choose to work for a while or possibly work and pursue a post-secondary degree part-time. As students begin to move forward with their post-secondary career goals, then they may move into a college program full-time. And as they're moving through their pathway, often they're getting very important skill sets, hopefully from work-based learning, from their education experiences. But what is key is that they have a solid foundation to draw upon. And that solid foundation can actually be from that personal graduation planning process. I think about a student that I knew who had a career goal of becoming a nurse. And she identified this very early on in high school and sought out opportunities while she was in high school to really ensure that that was the career goal that she wanted. So she took advantage of a CNA program, a Certified Nursing Assistant program, shortly after graduation. And that allowed her to have a credential that gave her an opportunity to work part-time in a nursing field. All the while she was attending full-time a program, a university level program, to pursue her nursing goal. However, after being in that setting for a while, she realized that it was a little large, overwhelming. So she stepped back and decided that she wanted to do an LVN program and get additional credentialing and work in another area of nursing. So she completed an LVN program and now has transitioned from an LVN program to an RN program. That's an illustration of a student who has chosen a slightly different path, whereas a counterpart may have graduated from high school and moved into a university program and then pursued a BSN in nursing. All of the students are actually obtaining the nursing degree. It's just a matter of a different approach that they're using and customizing that approach to meet their individual learning needs as well as their possibly financial needs. So as we advise our students, I think it's really important for us to recognize that we play a very important role in making sure that our students are ready for post-secondary opportunities, for college and career opportunities, but we also recognize that many of them will take a very different route. It may not be that linear path, but they'll eventually get where they want to be if they've had the opportunity to do that self-exploration, that career exploration, and develop that career plan so that as they move forward, they can seek valuable opportunities. At this time, I wanted to share with you a sample career goal that really illustrates the flexibility of the Foundation High School program. And often when we think about the endorsements, we sometimes associate one particular endorsement with a career goal and maybe advise a student to go that route, not recognizing that there may be multiple ways to achieve the career goal, but also multiple routes to endorsements and multiple routes to education. So we're going to take a look at a sample career goal, which is physician. And this is a very common career goal when you talk to a lot of high school students. They want to be a doctor, and so they need to determine what that actually means. But in becoming a physician, as they begin to develop the PGP, it will be critical for them to research the various endorsements that are available to them in the Foundation High School program that can actually prepare them for this career goal. And so when we think about physician, the very obvious one is the STEM endorsement. And the STEM endorsement is an obvious fit for many of our students because of the emphasis on science and math, which we know that med school draws heavily upon those content areas and will require students to have a solid foundation in science and math as they apply to med school. So in thinking about the STEM endorsement, the pathway for them would likely be the science pathway. And as they complete their coursework in the Foundation High School program, in the science coherent sequence of courses, they will eventually earn the STEM endorsement. But one of the things that we also know is that there are some other endorsement routes that might be appropriate for a student to take. For instance, business and industry. Business and industry is one of our 5 endorsement areas along with STEM. And with business and industry, there is a connection to medical school through the agriculture, food, and natural resources pathway. The most obvious health-related occupation in this area is being a veterinarian, health for animals. But when we think about the connections through agriculture, food, and natural resources and courses such as animal science, there can be a lot of applications to science in the broader sense, but also in the broader healthcare field. So you may actually have a student who has a strong interest in agriculture, really enjoys taking agriculture-related courses, not interested in being a veterinarian, but they may be interested in being a physician, and they're going to have the quality background that they're going to need at the high school level in order to earn the business and industry endorsement, but yet prepare them well for their post-secondary goal of admission to med school. Then, of course, in the public services endorsement, we have another route, which is health sciences. Many programs have health science career cluster and programs of study, and the health sciences pathway is a wonderful pathway for students who are interested in the physician career goal because it allows them to actually get experience in health-related occupations, and the context in which courses are taught are with the health field, so they directly relate and are applicable to med school. So a student can actually really try out early on the health-related occupations and determine, is this the career goal that I would like to seek? And maybe they may find that physician really isn't fit for them, but there's another area in health sciences that's a good fit for them, such as administration. So having the opportunity to actually experience career development opportunities that are afforded through a health sciences pathway can be very valuable for students who are seeking that career goal of being a physician. Whereas if you look at the previous two, there may not be that direct correlation to health science courses. They may be getting that broad background where they're well prepared. However, in the health sciences pathway, they're actually experiencing coursework that is directly related and applicable to health science while still taking the science and math that they need. I've also included another pathway that can be incorporated into a student's personal graduation plan, and that's human services. And this is one that is often not thought of. And for a smaller school district that might not have access to a health sciences program, human services can actually be a really good fit for students who are interested in becoming a physician. Thinking back to my example early on about a student taking coursework that could be foundational for them that they may not have time at the post-secondary level fits well here. For instance, there are courses in human services such as counseling and mental health, lifetime nutrition and wellness, child development, that certainly are applicable to being a physician. Especially if you're going to be a pediatrician, it would be really wise for you to have taken a child development course. And so if you are pursuing a heavy 4-year program, pre-med program, you may not have the opportunity to actually take an elective course such as counseling and mental health or child development. But yet here at the secondary level, you've had an opportunity to have this content, and again, it is foundational for you as you move forward into becoming a physician. So thinking about it from a student's perspective, what's going to be interesting to them, what's also going to provide them with a foundation of the knowledge and skills that they're going to need to pursue their post-secondary goals is very, very important. Now, one of the other things that I'll say to you is that there's a fourth endorsement that can be very helpful in a student obtaining the career goal of physician, and that's a multidisciplinary endorsement. And this may be very beneficial for a student who's really interested in taking a combination of coursework, not so sure that they want to be in one particular pathway. However, they may want to continue to explore in different areas, knowing that that foundation is really important. And in this case, that multidisciplinary endorsement is really a useful approach in advising a student. One other consideration with students and their college and career goals is ensuring that they have the foundation that they need to move forward. So thinking about our career goal of being a physician, we've already seen that that can be accomplished with multiple endorsements and multiple pathways. But one of the other key components here is making sure that students have the sufficient math and science needed to move to the next level, be successful in their post-secondary program, and obviously be admitted to med school, which draws upon science and math. So in thinking about the endorsements, one might assume, back to that original thought, that one route might be better. Algebra 2 is required in the STEM endorsement. So sometimes we think that that's an obvious fit. If a student wants to pursue the goal of being a physician, well, they're going to have to be admitted to college and they're going to have to pursue a pre-med program, so we want to make sure that they have Algebra 2. But what we don't want to overlook is that 4 math and 4 science are required for all endorsements, no matter if it's a multidisciplinary endorsement or business and industry endorsement. So in thinking about putting together a student's personal graduation plan, early conversations about the math and science requirements that a student will need is critical. And so that's why starting early, middle school, for instance, allows students to recognize that they are going to need to take certain math and science in their high school program so that they are well prepared. And as a school counselor or that meaningful adult in the student's life, it's the classroom teacher or mentor, can really guide a student to ensure that they are taking advantage of coursework such as Algebra 2. So just because Algebra 2 is required for the STEM endorsement doesn't mean that that's always the best fit for the student. Thinking back to our discussion about that individualized nature, many students might learn better by having that integrated approach of health sciences along with their coursework. So in that case, having the opportunity to pursue the public services endorsement, knowing that they're going to have to take specific math and science, is perfect for a student because they're able to get really the best of both worlds. Okay, so in thinking about putting together your PGPs, there are a lot of resources that are actually out there. And there are more coming as we continue with the implementation of House Bill 5. But I've given you 3 sites that provide resources for developing personal graduation plans. The most obvious site is the Texas Education Agency website. And at this link that I'm providing you, you should be able to access all of the information on the graduation requirements, House Bill 5 requirements. You'll also find information on all of the endorsements as well as the distinguished level of achievements, the performance acknowledgments, etc. The agency has done a really good job of providing additional resources for parents in particular through a graduation toolkit. That next listing and link will actually take you to the graduation toolkit. School districts can utilize the graduation toolkit to promote the key information for parents. So thinking back to one of the critical components, that parent engagement, sponsoring an evening with your parents to really help them understand the Foundation High School program is instrumental in those first steps of establishing that PGP. So you may want to think about utilizing the resources that are at this link. They are available in both English and Spanish. And then a third resource is through the Achieve Texas College and Career Initiative, which is a funded project of the Texas Education Agency. And the website, achievetexas.org, provides valuable resources in terms of programs of study. And programs of study we'll be exploring further here in just a moment. But these programs of study are downloadable and customizable, and we'll be looking at one of those momentarily. So three great resources, and again, you have other resources that are regional, such as your service centers. They provide a significant amount of support for local districts with the Foundation High School program, but also in working with students with PGPs. So don't forget about your educational service centers as a valuable resource. Okay, so let's direct our attention now to the resources that are available with the Achieve Texas College and Career Initiative. And one of the things that you need to know is that this is a broad framework for helping school districts address college and career initiatives, and it provides a lot of resources for classroom teachers, for counselors, for students, for parents. The resources that are on the Achieve Texas website are free of charge and easily accessible, and the great thing is that they can be customized, and I'll show you one in just a few moments. The way to recognize the value of Achieve Texas is that, think about it as your toolkit. They are tools to help you and your district with the local implementation of the Foundation High School program. As I mentioned to you, one of the resources that we have available with the Achieve Texas College and Career Initiative are the programs of study. And the programs of study are based upon the expectation of implementation of career and technical education in our high school programs. And the legislation that actually guides the implementation of career and technical education is known as Carl Perkins. Many of you may be familiar, might be known just as Perkins in your local conversations. Perkins legislation is at the federal level and mandates that there be key components of programs of study. But when we think about these key components, and we'll walk through these here in just a second, you'll see that there is a direct correlation to some of the information that we've talked about with the PGPs. Some of those components that document student experiences with college and career activities. So the first thing is that programs of study at the federal level must be aligned to rigorous academic standards and student achievement standards. So this is where you know that programs of study are based upon the Foundation High School program, but they're also utilizing the TEKS in each of the courses, and those TEKS are also aligned to the Texas College and Career Readiness Standards. So we have already a foundation for ensuring that our students receive rigorous academic standards through the implementation of our courses. There is also a combination of the academic and CTE content in a coordinated effort. This coordinated effort allows students to have that experiential learning. So they're able to take what they're learning in their academic courses and apply it in their career and technical education courses. Thinking back to that example that I gave earlier about health sciences, one of the reasons why health sciences may be the perfect pathway for a student and the endorsement public services be the best fit for them is because there is this coordinated effort between the academic courses that the students take along with the health sciences content that is presented in their program of study. Courses are relevant and they are challenging at both the secondary and post-secondary level. And one of the other key components for the programs of study is that they must be based upon high skill, high wage, or high demand occupations. Very critical component as students are doing their research early on about their career goals. So thinking back to that early career exploration. What are the high skill, high wage, high demand occupations in the areas that I'm interested in pursuing? And identifying those can be a very valuable process as a student establishes that PGP. But know that with the Achieve Texas resources, we have already done a lot of the research and legwork for you and for your students because we have developed programs of study on high skill, high wage occupations. They would not be listed on the programs of study if they were not considered at least high skill, high wage, or high demand. And in some cases, they may be high skill, high wage, or they may meet all three of those categories. So know that if you're utilizing the programs of study to develop your PGPs and support that process with your students, that you're already sending them in a direction where the research has shown that these occupations are valuable for our students to be addressing. The programs of study also support dual credit opportunities, and thinking back to that distinguished, the performance acknowledgement. How does a student earn a performance acknowledgement? Well, one of the ways is through a dual credit experience, and so there are opportunities for local districts to customize those programs of study. And then, of course, all programs of study lead to a degree, certificate, or credential. So that post-secondary experience is very obvious. So it's actually laid out very clearly for our students. A particular occupation is aligned with the degree or credential level that they will need to have in order to obtain an entry-level position in that particular occupation. We have 122 of these programs of study at the Achieve Texas website. The models illustrate various career goals across all 16 of the career clusters, and those 16 career clusters then are grouped into the various endorsement areas for our students. So again, a very clear connection to that foundation high school program. Components include middle school connections, so you can start that development of the PGP early on. Requirements for the various graduation plan components are provided. Secondary certifications, extended learning opportunities, including career and technical student organization opportunities, college credit, post-secondary linkages, career opportunities from entry level to advanced occupations within a particular pathway, and a connection to professional associations. And the professional associations can be a great outlet for identifying those key adults for mentorship roles. The recent changes on the programs of study reflect all of the requirements of the foundation high school graduation program expectations, and provide some additional information that can be used to advise students and parents as they move forward. One other important component of the programs of study is that they also include courses that can be used for students' coherent sequences, and those coherent sequences are vital for earning an endorsement. The 4 credits are identified in terms of courses that can be aligned and determined locally, so suggestions are provided there. But the other important piece to this is, with the 4 credits being CTE courses, you also know that the coherent sequence for career and technical education are being met as well. And for many of the local districts, that is important for your CTE funding. Okay, so in thinking about programs of study as supporting your PGPs, why should you use this resource? Well, the most obvious is that they can be the basis for your personal graduation plan. They can be downloaded by local districts and customized so that you can illustrate to students what your offerings are locally, but they can also be used in that decision-making process by the local districts. Students can then use them as resources as they put together their personal graduation plans. And because they are a vital resource for you as you develop your personal graduation plans, you should think about them as a centerpiece of your guidance program. And as you are advising students with the Foundation High School graduation program expectations, you're also meeting many of your counseling expectations. And then programs of study help students plan an individualized, coherent educational path. Why are we doing all of this work in a foundation high school program? Why have we arrived at House Bill 5? Much of it is for customization, individualization, so that as students are working towards college and career readiness, they also have an opportunity to learn about themselves, customize their education, which hopefully increases the relevance of what they're learning and engages them further in the educational process. And one of the other reasons why a local district should really think about using the programs of study is because they connect career and technical education to that counseling process. And your CTE teachers can be a vital resource in delivering counseling, career development resources in the classroom. So don't forget about that collaboration. Your core teachers are also vital resources, but your CTE teachers are very well connected to the particular occupations within their career clusters. And so they have a lot of knowledge and experience in business and industry contacts that can help students connect to some of the key components that we've already talked about with the personal graduation plan. Okay, so let's take a look now at one of the programs of study that we have available for you on the Achieve Texas website. And so what I'd like for you to do is go with me to the Achieve Texas website. And on the Achieve Texas website, it's a very simple address, achievetexas.org, achievetexas.org. And if you click on the link in the PowerPoint, it will take you directly to the home page. When you are on the home page, you're going to see a menu of options across the top. And one of the selections will be programs of study. Now recognize that we use the language programs of study because that's what Perkins requires we do. But these programs of study are very valuable for you as you develop your personal graduation plans. So we're essentially talking about a document, a broad-based document, a program of study that you can customize, but yet derives that individual learning document, that PGP, and is supportive of the PGP process. Okay, so just make sure that we're distinguishing between the two, because sometimes that can be a little confusing as we begin these conversations. So when you select on programs of study, what you'll find is actually a listing of all of the 16 national career clusters by icon. And these translate then to endorsement areas. And the one that I'd like for us to take a look at today is in the health sciences career cluster. And so when we look at the health sciences career cluster, as we scroll down the page, we're going to find a couple of pathways. For instance, biotechnology research and development, support services, and I'll direct your attention to that one that's below support services. It's called therapeutic services. And so these are actually pathways within the cluster area. And so this is a narrower grouping of occupations based upon the knowledge and skill set that students need to have in order to pursue an occupation within this field. Under therapeutic services, you're going to notice that there are a variety of example occupations that we've listed. So dentist, EMT, all the way down to speech-language pathologist. And that's because in this particular pathway, there are a variety of occupations that provide therapeutic services to patients. And in this case, we're going to look at the physician because physician was our earlier example. So when we look at the program of study, it is in an Excel spreadsheet. When you download it from the website, you will have to probably wait a minute or two for it to download. And once you have downloaded it, then you can save that document and begin to customize it for your local district. So the program of study is organized in an Excel spreadsheet with separate sheets to address several needs. So the first thing that you need to know is that we still have information in the program of study on the recommended high school program. And the reason for that is we have students who are finishing up the requirements of the recommended high school program. Within the next 2 years, that will become obsolete, and then we'll be looking strictly at the foundation high school program. But in looking at the document for the foundation high school program, you will select the second tab, and on the second tab, You will have a lighter red highlight. And this is where we have the various components of the Foundation High School program laid out for you. And all of the requirements are the Foundation High School program with an endorsement and beyond. So we start with essentially the 26 credits and beyond. So when you look at the organization of the program of study, you'll notice that in the upper left side, there'll be the cluster icon. So you can identify very quickly that it is a health science career cluster. And because it's in the health sciences career cluster, on the right side, we've identified the particular endorsement that a student would earn. And that is the public services endorsement. The pathway, therapeutic services, is listed at the top. And of course, then underneath that are some sample career goals. The first one that we've listed is physician, pediatrician, anesthesiologist, surgeon are the four, but yet that's not all of the occupations those are not all of the physician positions that are available. There are quite a few specializations, as you can imagine. But we've provided some sampling there for students to do some initial investigation. One of the important pieces of information that we've provided in this section is the listing of the ONET code. So after each occupational title, you'll see a number in parentheses. So in the case of physician, it's 29-1062. That's actually the ONET code that goes along with the occupation. And so when a student selects that information, it will take them to onetonline.org, directly to the page on health sciences, and this is a way for students to do some of that career exploration. They can begin to look at employment outlook, they can look at job tasks, they can look at the educational requirements. So again, as we have students working on that PGP early on, they will be able to identify the core courses that they're going to need, the academic courses that they're going to need, as well as the career-related electives that will be relevant for them as they pursue that career goal. Very easy way for your students to connect with information that is relevant and current, and that is the ONET Online. Then as you move through the program of study, then you will find additional information such as the requirement of math and science. You'll see 4 credits in each. And this is where you can have a conversation with a student. You need to take Algebra 2 if you're going to be a physician. It will be necessary for college admission, and it will be foundation for you as you move forward into your pre-med program at the post-secondary level. But listed there are example career-related electives. And so this is where the district can customize the courses that they have available for offering students. And so possibly you're not teaching scientific research and design as an example. And so all you have to do is click on that cell, because it is an Excel spreadsheet, and when you click on that cell, you can delete scientific research and design. That is illuminated from the listings, so then what you would post for your students to use in the development of their PGP would be an accurate reflection of the offerings that you have made, that you have determined locally. And remember, in the note, it does illustrate this, that districts determine those coherent sequences and advanced level courses for the endorsement. One thing to note is that when we've listed these career-related electives, we start with the principles course and we end with the practicum. So think about those as the bookend courses. The bookend courses, we start with the principles course, then we provide specific career-related electives, and then we cap it with the other bookend course, which is that practicum experience. The practicum is a capstone experience, and hopefully it will be an experience where students might actually be in a medical related setting so that they're getting some observation and even some on-the-job training in some cases. So as you continue on through that program of study, you'll see additional information for earning the distinguished level of achievement. But we've also provided certifications that students can earn while they're in high school. Having those credentials, very important part of their educational process. Many times these credentials will allow them to have a job as they're pursuing their post-secondary education goal, and that job is directly related to the goal of interest. So in thinking about the example I gave of the nursing student having the CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant, that was something that this student started while she was in high school and then completed it upon graduation. So that certification allowed her to actually work in the nursing field, get valuable experience while she was also pursuing her educational coursework. And then we have provided appropriate practicum work-based learning experiences. On the right side, you will find that there's information on extended learning experiences, so curricular, extracurricular, career-related, service learning. As you move further down the program of study, you'll notice that there is a location for districts to customize their college credit opportunities. And so these would be the college credit opportunities that students would take advantage of. They could be an advanced placement course, an international baccalaureate course, dual credit. It could also be a locally articulated course. These are customizable, as I've mentioned before. Take advantage of that and make sure that you're listing the courses that you have, for instance, locally articulated with your community college. And those could be specific to each program of study, and therefore that PGP be individualized as students are following it. Then as you move further down, you'll notice that the program of study has post-secondary educational experiences and a related career option. In the case of this program of study, one of the things that we have identified is that if a student is interested in becoming a physician, they're going to have coursework essentially at the graduate level. They have to be enrolled in a medical school program, and that comes after they graduate with their bachelor's degree. So in order to obtain that career goal, we have laid out very clearly that a student would need to complete a Doctor of Medicine program, for instance, and a corresponding to that would be the career options that are available. So this is a valuable resource in helping students understand the educational level that they will need to obtain in order to seek an entry-level position in an occupation of their choice. Okay, then we have an associate degree page. This provides some basic information, and again, it can be customized. I encourage local districts to customize as much as possible to reflect their partnerships with their universities and their community colleges. And then, of course, there is a bachelor degree page. Again, can be customized. And if you have an articulation agreement in place where students move from an associate degree that maybe you're offering in your early college, high school, then on into a community college program or directly into a bachelor's program, and you have that partner university established, put that in your program of study. They can be customized to illustrate that information so that your parents, your students, your mentors have all of the information that they need in order to direct students' PGP process. And then the last page is a resource page, and this is where we've provided a lot of resources to help you and your students with career development information. There is an assessment that they can take to help them identify their particular cluster of interests. So if you are starting early with your middle school students, this is a really great assessment. It's very easy to take, and it will help them identify clusters of interest, which then can translate into occupations of interest, and then of course be connected to the endorsements in the Foundation High School program. On the right side, one of the things that I want to point out to you would be the professional associations that we have identified related to each occupational area. And we have tried to provide a representation of the most popular professional organizations that individuals typically join in these particular occupations. One of the recent additions that we have on the programs of study, on the right side, on the resources page, is a listing of professional associations that are connected with a particular occupation. We have also provided professional organizations to provide support for individuals seeking a non-traditional career. So for instance, if you're a man and you are interested in nursing, that's still considered a non-traditional career for men. However, if you are wanting to be a physician, it may be non-traditional for a woman. We're starting to see more women move into med school. However, it is still dominated by males in terms of enrollments. So being a woman in a medical field can sometimes be a little intimidating, overwhelming. So there are specific organizations, for instance, the American Medical Women's Association, and that can provide support to you as a professional in a non-traditional field. We've also identified the professional associations that support minorities in a particular occupation. So for instance, the National Hispanic Medical Association. So those individuals who are of Hispanic origin and interested in the medical field might find that professional association of value and support for them as they work in that occupation and pursue that occupational goal as a part of their professional development. One of the things that I will mention to you as a resource, the professional associations can identify individuals who might be strong mentors for your students. If you think back to our early discussion on the PGP and having an adult, a key adult in their life that can guide them through this process, often these professional associations have state, regional, and local chapters, and they can be a great source of information for students to make connections for mentor experiences, but it could also be a job shadowing opportunity. So lots of ways that you can use the professional information, the professional associations on the program of study. So in conclusion, the programs of study are available for you on the Achieve Texas website under the Program of Study tab. They are organized by those 16 career clusters, and they can be a very valuable resource for you as you are developing those personal graduation plans for your students. And thinking about your personal graduation plan being very robust, the components that we've highlighted on the program of study, such as connections to post-secondary educational opportunities, career goals, as well as coursework with the foundation high school program, dual credit opportunities, the extended learning experiences, all of those are what we look at in terms of putting together a robust personal graduation plan for your students. And recognizing that that PGP is a document that will guide our students throughout their career development process, hopefully beyond high school, but it's also a process that you need to think about developing fully on the local level, and there are lots of resources to help you with that. Today I've shown you a few of the resources that are available to you, and I hope that you will take advantage of these. Thank you for joining me.